Marisha here, and I'm going to talk to you about how study abroad affects your friendships. Now, the first way that study abroad affected my friendships is actually kind of, I hope, a sort of unique situation that, again, I hope you don't experience. But as soon as I announced that I was going to be studying abroad in England, um, my on Facebook, my friend count went down. And, it went down by one. And I was like, it's really weird. Why would someone unfriend me over that post? But as soon as I thought, like, why would someone do that? A name popped into my head because this person had become increasingly bitter on their own kind of Facebook wall and the posts that they were making. And so I think I just sort of thought, like, I wonder if it's them. And so I looked at my friends list, and sure enough, it was them. They had unfriended me. And I can only surmise it was because they were so unhappy with their own life that they couldn't stand to see someone else kind of living their dream, because it was my dream. I had been wanting for years to come live in the UK. And, I really hope that that's not something that you experience, that if you make a big announcement that, yay, you're going to go study abroad and have this great adventure that's going to enrich your life, I really hope that your friend count doesn't go down, but it might. And also, if it doesn't, you might actually still have people in your life who are a little bit resentful of you because you are doing this cool thing and they are not. um like, jealousy is a real thing. But hopefully that is not the case, and hopefully everybody that is in your social circle is really happy for you because they are good friends and they know that, like, it's a good thing to be supportive of your friend when they're doing something exciting and good. um, what I think I can guarantee is going to happen to you is you will lose friends over the course of your study abroad. You will move to the other country, and after about a month or so, there will be friends who will just sort of like disappear from your life because they will not keep up the effort that it requires to maintain a friendship over distance. And it will be really hard. Um, it'll be hard not to take that personally, especially when it's someone that you thought you were closer to, right? Like, maybe you had like a kind of close relationship when you were living in the States and you were in the same zip code. And so you might be a little bit surprised when you moved abroad and you were making efforts to try to stay in contact with them. You sent them like a cool postcard from your new place where you were living, and you messaged them a couple of times on like Instagram or Facebook or whatever. But they just didn't seem to be reciprocating at the same level. And eventually just sort of like it just sort of like petered out. It is hard not to take that personally. Try not to take it personally, because chances are it is not personal. It is just that for a lot of people, the way that they view friendships, especially, but also sometimes, familial relationships and romantic relationships, um, is that once it's not convenient, once it takes a little bit of effort, then they just don't like try. They sort of give up on it. And I think that friendships, more than any other relationships, really take that hit because we don't value them as much in our society as we do family and romantic relationships. Because, family, you're taught, well, blood is thicker than water. And there's just sort of like this idea of, you know, loyalty to your family. But then, romantic relationships, those are really put on a pedestal in our society. If you look at all of the films that celebrate romantic love versus films that celebrate friendship, there's a huge disparity in number, like a huge disparity. Um, and so I think that as an aside, as a society, we have a lot of work to do in sort of championing friendship. And but I mean, that doesn't do you any good right now. It's better to just remind yourself it is most likely not personal. It's just this person has a different set of values, And with them, it's, out of sight, out of mind. They don't see you every day anymore. They can't go do things with you. Like, you can't go out to eat, you can't go to the movies or go have a drink together. And so, yes, corresponding, staying in touch, making that effort, especially when there's like a time difference, because if you're studying abroad, chances are there's going to be a time difference. Um, things like that can kind of get in the way. They are impediments in a way. Try not to take it personally. It will hurt. I acknowledge it definitely hurt when I was trying to maintain some friendships with people, not just this time, but also, previously when I lived abroad as a Peace Corps volunteer, the same thing happened. But you just have to learn to say, okay, they're not a bad person. They don't like hate me or anything. It's just they don't have the energy or the priorities to make the effort required to maintain this friendship. And not all friendships are lifelong friendships. That's how it is. And hopefully you have, and I would imagine most likely you will have friends who will put in the effort. And that's the good thing about this, is that you will then discover who are your lifelong friends, who are the friends that are in it for the long haul because they are putting in that effort. They are reciprocating. They're sending you snail mail, or they're messaging you on WhatsApp, or you're, doing regular phone calls or whatever to stay in touch, to maintain that friendship. Those are the people that, when I get married, fingers crossed, they're going to be my bridesmaids, or, they're going to get an invitation if I keep it small. And because those are people in your life as well. And study abroad might be the thing that makes you realize who those people are, because sometimes that's a surprise too. Just as you might be surprised by who doesn't stay in touch, you might be surprised by who does stay in touch. And just, kind of acknowledge that and be grateful for those people. And then the other thing is, when you study abroad and you come back home, a lot of your relationships will be different. So you'll have friends who they might stay in touch, but maybe they didn't stay in touch as much as like those few that you're really like regularly communicating with each other. But they stayed in touch enough that like when you come home, you're excited to see them and they're excited to see you, and you go out to eat and you're just like really happy to see each other, and you're going to be back in each other's lives. But what happened is that over the course of the year that you were gone, they were all hanging out without you, and they have an entire year of history and in jokes that you were not a part of. And those will come up sometimes, right? There'll be times when, they'll be like, oh, hey, remember when you did this thing? And they all start laughing, and you feel left out because you were not a part of that. And that's just something that you're going to have to deal with, and recognize, like, okay, there is a chunk of stuff in their lives in my friends group that I was not a part of, and I'm not, I don't get those in jokes. I wasn't there. But at the same time, they weren't there when you were doing things in your study abroad with your new friends that you found abroad, and the adventures that you had. And that's the other thing, is like, you will also make friends in your, country that you go to. And that's another positive of how study abroad will impact your friendships. You'll be making friends in the new place where you are, and friends who are from a different background, and really sort of, broadening your horizons and your perspective, because you're having regular conversations with people who come from a different place than you. Not just different geographically, but also obviously their culture is different. And even in the case of US UK, where it's like, obviously it's not hugely different the way that it was, when I was in Turkmenistan, it's definitely different enough. And, I've made friends here who I'm really thankful for and really grateful for, and they're very dear to me. And I'm just very, happy to have made friends here, and I'm hoping to make, more as I, hopefully get a job, and maybe I can meet friends there and things like that. But just be aware of the many ways in which your friendships will be affected when you study abroad, and be prepared for the fact that you are going to lose some. Don't take it personally, and try to focus on the positive, which is you will make some new friends, and you will also, it's kind of, the experience is kind of a crucible that's like a test of your existing friendships, where you will discover who are your friends that are going to be like your lifelong friends. So hopefully this gives you a bit of a heads up of kind of what to expect. And I think it's something that people don't talk about as much when they're talking about study abroad and living abroad and that kind of thing, is how it actually does impact friendships. Um, so that's just a little heads up for you. And I hope that that helps. Like, subscribe, tell your friends how gnarly this channel is, and I'll see you next time.